You can delegate the work, but you can't delegate the ownership of it, because the truth is the money belongs to you. It is your business, and the responsibility is on your shoulders. This week, I talked to two business owners in the multi-seven-figure industries in revenue, and both of them said some version directly to my face, money is not my thing. On today's episode of Pivot to Profit, we're going to talk about why money isn't your thing is not a good answer if you're the CEO, founder, entrepreneur, business owner, because the truth is, it is your money. So here's the deal. There is a dangerous misconception among entrepreneurs that if they just hire a bookkeeper, a CFO, an accountant, and controller, they will handle everything. But that's simply not true. You can delegate the work, but you can't delegate the ownership of it, because the truth is the money belongs to you. It is your business, and the responsibility is on your shoulders. So this week I was working with a client, and she literally said, money is not my thing. I need you to talk to so-and-so on my team. And I was like, okay, but if something bad happens, the bank and your investors are not going to be going to so-and-so on your team to ask questions. They're going to be coming to you. And the truth is, it's your money, because at the end of the day, if things go well, you benefit from it. And if things don't go well, it's on your shoulders to figure it out. The bank and investors are going to come after you and your house. So saying money isn't my thing is an excuse. You can delegate the tasks, but you must own the responsibility and the weight of it. And I understand we all have money trauma, and you might not have had the education to understand the financial reports. I have other videos on that. But many business owners wear the, oh, well, I'm not good at money, or money isn't my thing, as a badge of honor. But unfortunately, it's not like imagine them walking around saying, oh, sales isn't my thing. Customers aren't my thing. Leadership isn't my thing. You can't scale to a multi-seven-figure business and say money isn't my thing and it be acceptable. Money is your thing because you're the CEO, and it is your money, people. Make sure you're paying attention to it. So let's start with truth number one. Money is part of the CEO's job description. I'll say it again. Money is part of your job description as the CEO and founder of your business. You don't have to become an accountant. You don't need to understand every journal entry. You don't need to prepare the financial statements, but you absolutely need to understand where your money is coming from, where your money is going. Are you profitable? Whether cash is growing or shrinking in your business. Think of yourself like a pilot in a plane. Look, you didn't build the plane, you don't maintain the engine, but you absolutely can read the dashboard and know which dials and buttons to push. And you, as the CEO of your business, need to have the same sort of transparency and vision into your business. So the truth is, it is in your job description, and the day-to-day of that is you need a dashboard or some tool that your money team is sharing with you on at least a monthly, but at a weekly would be great, basis, so you can see where your money is, because it's part of your job to know where your money is. Truth number two is delegate the tasks, not the ownership. A great money team might include a bookkeeper, a tax strategist, a fractional CFO, but none of those people are you. It's important to know that you can outsource the data entry, the reconciliations, the coding, the tax preparation, preparing the reports and the graphs, but you cannot outsource the decision-making, the accountability, and the financial ownership, because the bank has you sign your name as personal guarantor. Investors are banking on you. And when it's time to exit your business one day, they're going to hold you accountable to the numbers, not your money team. So the CEO's job is not to create the reports. We don't need you to be in the books and doing journal entries. So you don't have to create the data. However, it's the CEO's job to review the reports and make decisions from them. Truth number three, know your numbers. I jump up and down all the time about this. CEOs have to know their numbers. It doesn't matter if money is not your thing. I'm not good with money. I have money trauma. It is your job to know your numbers. So some basic metrics that every CEO should review on a monthly, if not weekly basis, include your bank balances. How much money do you have in the bank? And we use Profit First, and we recommend Profit First with a lot of our clients. So in that case, you have multiple bank accounts and you know exactly how much each money is for. I had a client, we had a call this week and had a huge celebration because last week was their biggest sales revenue week in 8 years of business ever. It was a beautiful number and everyone was excited. And then, so we went into talking about cash flow, and we opened up the bank account, and the owner's like, where's the money? And his bookkeeper said, well, I allocated it, and showed him all the bank accounts. So part of it was in profit, part of it was in tax, part of it was in payroll, and the rest was in OpEx. And he's like, we had the biggest sales week of my life, and this is how much I have to spend. And I said, exactly, because look at how much profit we've set aside. Look at how much money we have for tax strategy. So it's imperative that you have good money practices with your bank accounts. Because if you were to look and say, I had the best week of my life, look at all that money in my bank account, I'm going shopping, when in reality, only a portion of that is actually accessible to you to make decisions with, because the rest of it has already been spoken for. So that's where understanding how much cash on hand as a metric is helpful for you. How much of the cash that's available can I actually make decisions on? Because just because you have $100,000 in all of your bank accounts, part of it's going towards payroll, part of it's towards the Amex, part of it's for profit, part of it's for tax. And you have this much money that you can actually make decisions on. That's why it's important to understand cash on hand. Accounts receivable. This is how much money is owed to you. This is a very important number because it lets you know in the next coming days and weeks how much money is going to be coming into my bank accounts. So it's imperative, if you don't receive money as soon as you provide service or product, that you understand how much money is coming your way. So you can see in the next 3 weeks, I don't have as much money coming in as I thought, or in 2 weeks, I'm going to have a money problem. Another metric that's super helpful for CEOs to review and understand is your accounts payable. This is how much money you owe to vendors and contractors that has not been paid yet. So this could be contract labor, this could be software bills, this could be your credit card bills, this could be your rent, your mortgage, some marketing fees, any bills like that that you have. It's super important to know how much is going to come in and how much has to go out. And as a CEO, it is your responsibility to understand those numbers. You don't have to do the calculations, but you need to understand that if you have $50,000 coming in and you owe $100,000, you have a $50,000 shortfall that you as the CEO are going to have to solve. And if you're not looking at these metrics on a weekly or at least monthly basis, how are you going to know what your shortfall is? Now, a fifth number that CEOs should track is your gross profit margin. And this number is calculated by looking at your total sales, your total revenue, less your cost of goods sold, and that is your gross profit margin. And that is the money that you have left to run the machine, the monster that is your business. So that's what's left to cover your overhead. And most importantly, what your profit margin is going to be. And far too often, business owners just look at gross profit margin and think they can go shopping, and they forget that their overhead expenses could be 30, 40, 50, 60% of every dollar that comes in. And the sixth metric that's super imperative and helpful for CEOs of businesses to review is your net income or your profit. Because it is not what you make that matters, it's what you keep. Because you can be a $3 million business and be broke because you have no profit. So if you looked at these 6 numbers on a weekly or at least minimum monthly basis, you would have a dramatically different understanding of your business. You don't need 50 numbers. You don't need 15. And if you look at these 6 and you're like, Pam, I can do it in 3, fantastic. But have you ever asked yourself, how much cash do I actually have? How much money do my customers owe me? What are my profit margins? Where is my money going? If you had a dashboard tracking these numbers, you would be able to answer those questions in real time. So let's talk about the fourth truth. Demand timely reports. There is no excuse if you as the CEO have done your job and given your money team access that by the 15th of each month, you don't have the reports for last month. You should receive regular updates from your money team and like I said, the 15th of the month. So if it's the 15th of July, you should have June's numbers. And if you don't have June's numbers and your money team had access to everything they need, you need a new money team. If your financial reports aren't in your email and you're ignoring them, that's on you. You need to understand that money is part of your job role. And if your team is waiting for you to give them access because you opened a new account, that is your job responsibility. So make sure that your money team has access to what they need, but you also need to take ownership of the information that they send you and answer their questions. You don't have to be the bookkeeper, you need to be the CEO. However, the CEO needs to look at those reports. You can't drive a business using outdated information. If you're looking at reports and you're getting them 3 months late, 2 months late, 6 months late, you can't make proactive, informed decisions. You're driving blind. You need to have a dashboard that is showing you where your money is, what money's coming in, what's coming out, what your gross profit margin is, what your profit margin is, so that you can make decisions. So let's talk about the pain of ignoring your money. Problem number 1, money problems create more problems. It means that you struggle to make payroll, that you can't pay down your debt, that you have a huge tax bill and no cash to do anything with it, that your loans get into trouble, that the bank is calling you and asking what's going on. The investors are saying, hey, am I ever going to get back? And here's the thing, they call you, the bank, the IRS, investors, they call you, not your bookkeeper. They don't want to know what your bookkeeper is doing. They want to know what you're doing to run your business and why there's a problem. So it is your job as the CEO, entrepreneur, to own your books. And the other problem with not owning your books and saying money isn't my thing, y'all, this is where people can steal from you and take advantage. This is where fraud happens. Fraud happens in the shadows when CEOs aren't paying attention. It is one of the biggest risks and blind spots to just blindly trust your money team and say, oh, they've got it, and not look at the numbers. Far too often, unfortunately, people make bad decisions that handle other people's money. And if you, as the owner, aren't watching and saying, what is that $5,000 for? There's a problem. I spoke to a business owner this week that had a troubled money team. And unfortunately, there were people on payroll that shouldn't have been on payroll. And they just happened to be related to someone on the money team. That's right. The owner was not paying attention to the numbers, did not have a dashboard, was not looking at their financial reports, and someone on their money team had added a family member to payroll and was paying someone that wasn't even an employee. And the business owner didn't even know. He went back and looked. For 6 months, they had been paying someone that did not work in the business that was related to someone on their money team. The owner wasn't paying attention. And now at this point, that money team is now gone. The non-employee employee is not getting paid, but now it becomes a huge legal issue, and the owner has to decide what legal steps they want to take to go chase that money. Because unfortunately, it was a large amount of money, and they just thought it was handled. Make sure you have a dashboard, make sure you have reports, because this is where if someone's going to take advantage of you and take money out of your account, this is how it goes down. If you haven't looked at your bank statement or your credit card statements in 6 months, it is time, my friend, because the harsh reality is it is your money. And when someone comes knocking at the door of your business because there's an issue, they're going to come ask you questions, not your bookkeeper, not your money team. But the good news is there is a solution, and it's not going and getting an accounting degree or getting your MBA. It is owning your role as the CEO. Your job is to understand money. Money is not my thing is no longer acceptable. No more acceptable than sales aren't my thing. Leadership isn't my thing. operations isn't my thing. You are the CEO, founder of your business. You can outsource the tasks, but you have to keep the ownership on you. So stop saying money is not my thing, because if you're the owner, money is your thing. Not because you do all the counting, not because you magically became a CFO, but because it's your responsibility. It's your money. You need to own it. So make sure you're looking at your numbers. And if you don't understand what they're saying, up-level your money team. Go to pamjordan.com. My team would love to talk to you. We do money and we have full transparency. So no money is moving that you don't know about. You need to understand where your money's going. You need a dashboard. You need insight into this information, because money is not your thing is no longer acceptable. You are the CEO, founder of your business. Money is your thing because it is your money, friends. So if we can help, go to pamjordan.com. And remember, it is not what you make that matters. It is what you keep.